All right, today I got one for the sci-fi heads out there. This is All Our Wrong Todays by Elan Masti. So, I actually read this book right when it came out. I think it was Jonathan Tropper, an author who I love, had a good blurb about it, then the cover art, and that's pretty much all I needed. I just had a 10-hour drive that turned into, or was supposed to be a 10-hour drive, turned into about a 13-hour drive with a storm in a big box truck going to southern Indiana, and went with an audiobook, and I wanted to take another pass through this book. So this is one of the fewer books that I'm reviewing that I've read twice, if you count audiobook as reading, which I'm not sure I do. But Elan Masti, I think does, this is his first book, so he certainly does more in film. So he wrote, and I believe directed. I should have checked that before, but we're gonna let those dice roll. He wrote What If, a novel or a movie with Daniel Radcliffe, multimedia man, and I really liked it. It was just like a good, simple, it feels cheesy to say, but romantic comedy, yeah. But it really, I like his wit, but he still drives these stories in such a good way. This is definitely a deeper story than What If. But so this book right here, it's a time travel novel, and I know those can get a little messy. He balances it perfectly, I would say, of I don't want to say oh, we're time traveling and no explanation. Some weird things that happen in sci-fi where the science in that world is different than our world. I want to understand it to a degree, but I also realize you're not going to explain time travel to me because obviously. But so he does a really good job of making the world real. And it's not not fantasy sci-fi. It's not like dragons and stuff. It's just a technologically advanced world, because in 1965, I want to say, they had a guy who basically did this experiment trying to use the Earth's rotation, that it's moving 1,000 miles an hour or something in the rotation, and harnessing that energy so that free energy for the world. But he kind of gets into not necessarily future, but just different timeline. And so, without giving any spoilers or anything, it's a great read. It has an element of strangeness to it, sort of like a dream that's very vivid, where you're something's off here. I know it, but I can focus. Really enjoy it. It's yeah, Jonathan Tropper, a little blurb on the back. It is a great book. I hope he writes more books. Honestly, if I had to pick between All Our Wrong Todays, What If, All Our Wrong Todays, that book's phenomenal. So yeah, if you were into sci-fi at all, I would go for it. Honestly, it's a big one. I'm not gonna lie. It's a thickie for sure. I think it's about 350 pages. Not crazy. But boy, it knocked my socks off. And I was listening on this drive. It made the drive go like nothing. But I remember when I read it and I was just storming through it. Really, really funny, and just it had the right amount of emotion, relationship stuff. It wasn't just straight science, so it didn't feel masculine in that sense, where I feel sometimes sci-fi to me reads masculine. Yeah. Even if you don't like sci-fi, honestly, this is just a great book. Go read this great book. If you have read this book or seen anything Elan Masti has done, drop a comment down low. Or just drop a comment to say something nice. That also is welcomed on YouTube and doesn't happen enough.